Welcome back. We have breaking news right now in the 2020 race. Montana Governor Steve Bullock has dropped out of the Democratic nomination. He is dropping his bid for the nomination, admitting in a statement that he would not be able to break through into the top tier of candidates. Once again, Steve Bullock, Montana Governor, dropping out of the 2020 race right now. President Trump, meanwhile, is defying the House Judiciary Committee. The White House legal counsel wrote a letter to Chairman Jerry Nadler detailing the reasons why the president will not be at the impeachment hearing and will skip it. The letter, quote, says this: as for the hearing scheduled for December 4th, we cannot fairly be expected to participate in a hearing while the witnesses are yet to be named and while it remains unclear whether the Judiciary Committee will afford the president a fair process through additional hearings. Under the current circumstances, we do not intend to participate in your Wednesday hearing. Joining me right now is former Whitewater independent counsel, the partner of Thompson and Knight, Robert Ray. Robert, it's good to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Your reaction to the president saying, I'm not going to participate in this.
I think the White House counsel has it right. I mean, that's what I would have done. I don't see any reason to be participating in something that is a foregone conclusion and on a timetable of 2 weeks where they're not interested in hearing from the president's witnesses in any event. And this thing is going to start with witnesses who are law professors. I don't doubt that they will be hooray Henrys to the Democratic impeachment effort to talk about the fact that this is a clear case that warrants the House's favorable consideration of impeachment.
So what happens now? I mean, it will go to the Judiciary Committee. And we don't
Framing
know.
Articles of impeachment,
right.
I think, is probably the thing that is really the only mystery in all of this. I think we have a general idea of what they're going to allege. I don't think there are abuse of power allegations, and particularly the ones that relate to noncompliance with congressional subpoenas and for witness testimony, given the fact that there were executive privilege claims asserted that are still pending before the courts, are particularly going to be well-founded articles. There'll be one on bribery. I imagine there'll also be one on obstruction of justice from the Mueller investigation and efforts to obstruct Congress and so forth. Those are the kinds of things that you'll see, but we don't know yet till we see how they're drafted.
Yeah, I mean, the process, as the Republicans have said, has been unfair. The Republicans cannot get their own witnesses down there. They can't. They don't have any subpoena.
I don't expect Adam Schiff to testify.
You don't?
I don't think that'll happen. I mean, I'd be very surprised. He has the right, obviously, under the speech or debate clause, to refuse to testify.
I mean, it gets me that he's not under, he's not under oath in any way. I mean, he can sit there and say, I've never met with the whistleblower, for example, even though his staff had, and he's not punishable of perjury in any way.
Right, because he's not under oath and he doesn't have to submit himself to being under oath, so he can say what he wants. And everybody gets it. But look, I think the American people are going to see this for what it is. I think they do understand at bottom that this is a political effort. The Democrats have made a calculation that this is their best way forward in order to maximize their chances in the 2020 election. And they may be right or they may be wrong about that. That remains to be seen. But the president certainly doesn't have to aid in the impeachment effort. He's made a judgment now, and I think that's probably the right judgment.
Let's talk about the House Intelligence Review. Committee members, starting today, will have 24 hours to look at their report containing the findings of the president's alleged efforts to press Ukraine into investigating the Bidens. This is the report that comes from the Intel Committee.
Right.
Now going, the panel expected to approve the report by tomorrow.
And what you'll see there, I think, is they're going to make their best case for what they claim to be an attempted bribery impeachment article. I think that's what you will see as the result of that effort, and that will be then translated into an impeachment article actually drafted by the Judiciary Committee. So that's the only thing remaining to be done in these 2 weeks. Then they're going to vote and move it out of the House Judiciary Committee and refer it to the full House. And I guess what the plan is to try to have that full House vote before Christmas.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the House Judiciary Committee is going to take control of this impeachment hearing this week. And Doug Collins, Congressman Collins, is planning to call Intel Chairman Adam Schiff as the GOP's first witness. I know you don't think it's going to happen, but listen to what he said this weekend.
Adam Schiff is the author of this report. Adam Schiff has been the author of many things, a lot of them found to be false over the past couple of years, but he's going to be the author of this report. He's compared himself in the past to a special counsel. This is what he said he was doing. Well, if we go back to Clinton and even back to Nixon, but in Clinton, Ken Starr was the special counsel. He presented a report that we're going to get as judiciary. He actually came and sat and testified under oath and took questions from all sides, including the White House. My first and foremost witness is Adam Schiff.
I mean, it's a strong case to be making because that's in effect how Adam Schiff is serving. But, of course, the significant difference is, unlike Ken Starr, Adam Schiff is a member of Congress, so he doesn't have to testify if he doesn't want. Look, I could be wrong, but I don't expect that will happen.
Let's talk about the IG report now, set to come out on December 9th. We know that Senator Lindsey Graham is going to have Michael Horowitz testify on the 11th, and there's been a whole host of leaks, whether you look at what Lisa Page said in the New York Post today or what the New York Times is saying is going to be a downplayed effort to really find any real wrongdoing in the 2016 election. We know exactly what happened anyway, so I don't know why these people are leaking this. Somebody's afraid. That's why they're putting all these leaks out.
The main power that Michael Horowitz has, in addition to doing a report, of course, is his ability to refer the matter to the folks in the criminal division at the Department of Justice for criminal investigation and prosecution. That's a substantial power. I imagine there's a number of people who will be named in the report who will be referred to the Justice Department for prosecution. Now, whether or not the Justice Department actually decides to go forward and bring charges, of course, is a whole other matter altogether. But that's a significant development, and if I were someone named in the report in that way, based upon a referral from Michael Horowitz, I'd be worried too.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's really the criminal investigation that's the more serious one, because the IG doesn't have subpoena power.
Correct.
Can't, so what are you expecting? What's the timing on John Durham's investigation, do you think?
I don't know, but you'd expect that it's not going to be done, obviously, before the end of this year, and I think sometime next year. Now, he's got to be careful, too, because as we get closer and closer to an election, I think he's very well mindful of the fact that any significant cases that would be brought need to be brought probably before Labor Day and not too much long after that. But I would expect this investigation to reach some conclusions before the fall of next year.
It feels like, the president's skeptics, the Democrats, they know that this IG report is coming, and they're just taking all the oxygen out of the room with the impeachment hearings. I mean, Arizona Congressman and Judiciary Committee member Andy Biggs gave a warning of sorts on this week's hearings. Watch this.
A bunch of brawlers sometimes on the Judiciary Committee, so it should get pretty hot and under the collar as we go along. I don't think things have been done the way they've been done in the past, Mike, and so it causes some rancor, and it should be much more feisty, I would say, than the Intel Committee was.
So you wonder how this plays out this week.
Well, past experience has shown that, indeed, it is much more feisty and much more partisan than the Judiciary Committee, if it wasn't partisan enough in the Intelligence Committee. I think you can expect some cross-examination to raise the issues that we're likely to see in the Horowitz report. And I also think the president was right not to step on the message that Michael Horowitz's report is going to send throughout Washington and across the country about the real interference in the 2016 election, which was people in the Justice Department either not doing their jobs or doing it in such a way in an effort to damage the Trump campaign and help the Hillary Clinton campaign. That's serious stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting, but they'll use anything to change the conversation. So now I understand that USMCA will come to the floor before the end of the year. Nancy Pelosi's hoping to bring it to the floor either this week or next week. So what a perfect thing to change the conversation from December 9th and the IG report to the USMCA and Congress doing what they're supposed to do.
The Democrats are in a real bind here because they have now boxed themselves in by the calendar. They've only got 2 weeks to get this done. We're fast approaching January, and what's going to happen here is that Congress will end up being the body that does basically nothing during an election year unless the Democrats actually start to show results, because all they're going to have to show for this, unless there are other results, is impeachment.
Right.
And then the American people will make a political judgment about whether the Democrats' judgment to travel down this road, not in the best interest of the country, in my view, was the correct one.
Yeah, which is why I think this last week, where members went home to their constituents and they had to answer the question, what have you been doing for the last couple of months?
I think they got an earful.
I think so, too.
And I think there's going to be a lot more earfuls come January.
Agree. Robert, it's good to see you.
Thanks very much, Maria.